At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Hi, and welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I'm a food truck business trainer, author of Food Truck 101, Beginner to Winner, and the forthcoming book, Food Truck 201. This podcast is all about helping you start and grow your food truck business. Today, we're going to talk about price checking your competition. When you first start working on your food truck and you start to develop your business, you spend a whole bunch of time on your pricing, or at least you should spend a whole bunch of time on your pricing. The important information that you need to know is what does it cost you and what should you sell it for. Notice that what I just mentioned has nothing to do with checking out your competition. All we care about when you're very first starting is what does it cost you and what can you reasonably sell it for. Folks that get past that initial stage and they go from planning and research into writing a business plan, then they go out and check the competition. And what they're going to look for in the competition is the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats that competition presents to their potential business. And how they relate those strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats will be in the areas of quality, service, cleanliness, and community. And once again, nothing to do with price. Once you get open, you still want to check out the competition again for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats compared against your quality, service, cleanliness, and community. And that's an ongoing effort. But again, notice there is nothing to do with pricing the competition. Many people use price comparisons with the competition to establish their own price structure. And they often decide that I'll sell my stuff cheaper, believing that's going to drive more business. And they think that gives them that huge leg up on the competition because, after all, nobody else is as smart as you are and can figure out that, hey, I can sell stuff cheaper than anybody else. Well, here's what happens. I work with food trucks all the time. Most of them don't price their menu effectively. So when you're looking around the competition, you're judging your prices against someone that hasn't given a whole lot of analysis to their own pricing. They're learning as they go, just like you are. And they most likely price based on the other competition that was there before them. So they price on a whim rather than with hard data. So just because your town is full of taco trucks and they all sell a $3 taco does not mean that price is the most profitable price available to you, and certainly probably not the most profitable price available to them. They just selected it because, hey, everybody else is doing it. So like I said, I work with a lot of people every single day. And when we talk about the food cost of a product, most of them speak in really vague numbers. Food cost is your business. It will either be the highest or the second highest expense you've got. Your product is food. You sell food. So you have to know down to the penny how much everything costs you as it is assembled and as it is presented to your guest. So when I talk to people and I say, how much you got in that taco? And they say, got about 80 cents. That's totally useless. If you haven't looked before, look at your calculator and point out the about key to me. There isn't one. There's plus and minus and multiplication, division, and equal. There is no about key. You as the owner must know exactly down to the penny what everything costs you. And yes, I know prices go up every day. And what great food truck owners do is they update their prices every time they go out and buy stuff so that they know exactly what the cost is to them and whether they need to raise their menu prices or not. It takes less than 5 minutes. And how do I know it takes less than 5 minutes? Because when I would get big invoices that would have 60 or 70 products on it, I could input them in my computer in about 5 to 8 minutes. There is no food truck that I know of that brings in 80 or 90 items a day. They bring in 12, maybe 15. So you can certainly do it in less than 5 minutes a day. Put it on a spreadsheet, know exactly how much it impacts your cost. Now notice, up to this point, everything I've said has nothing to do with checking out your competition's menu price. Because I can tell you right now, they're likely just guessing what is a good selling price. And they're playing follow the leader, and the leader is blind, and everybody that's trying to follow the leader is also blind because they don't know the specifics of their business. Because remember, you got in this business knowing you can beat those guys. Beating those guys most likely means they're not as good as you are. So you need to know the prices down to the penny. Now, if you want to compare your prices to, say, a restaurant chain, because, after all, they know a thing or two about pricing product to make a profit, and they've probably even done price testing within the market to know what the max price is customers are going to pay. So let's take a basic quarter-pound burger that we can compare across a whole bunch of different chains. And the basic burger being dressed with mayonnaise, ketchup, pickle, onion, tomato, lettuce, and mustard. It sells for $4.36 at Sonic. It sells for $4.69 at Wendy's. It sells for $5.36 at Jack in the Box. Then you get to the little more expensive change. At BurgerFi, it sells for $6.71. At Five Guys, it sells for $7.83. So you're talking over a $3 price point difference from the low to the high. And that's for the exact same product. And a Five Guys can sit right next to a Sonic and both of them be equally busy. The asking price has nothing to do with it. What influences people to buy is the quality, the service, the cleanliness, and the community that those businesses establish. Or if you want to go to a sit-down restaurant and they throw fries in it, like a lot of food trucks will throw in fries to, again, move the price point up. You go to Ruby Tuesdays, it's $9.10. You go to Denny's, it's $9.81. You go to TGI Fridays, and it's $10.41. You go to the Hard Rock Cafe, it's $10.63. All for the same product, all for the same amount of fries. If they can have that kind of disparity amongst all those different competitors, and they can literally sit side by side on any given road and all be equally busy, price is not the determining factor when people choose to go out to eat. It's always taste, it's always flavor, it's always service. It is not price. Now, if you want to compare yourself to those chains and see if you can price like they do and make more money, you got to understand these prices are based on the chain's purchasing power. They buy literal tons of meat and they create deals that a food truck can never ever see because it's a single food truck buying a few hundred pounds at most of any particular product. So trying to play follow the leader with a chain restaurant for pricing is just financial suicide. You can't compare what they do to what you do. Or you could do what the big city food trucks do and follow their pricing because, hey, some of those food trucks have been around for years. Some of them have been around for 14 years or longer. So let's follow their prices. There's a food truck in Los Angeles that sells what I just described to you, a quarter-pound cheeseburger with all those different condiments, $16. And what that particular truck has over you is population and economic diversity. Their prices will exceed the pocketbooks of a lot of the population in that area. Just like no matter what price you put, whether it's $4 or $10, will exceed the pocketbook of a certain amount of the population. But where the trucks in LA and Los Angeles and Chicago and the other big cities have going for them is the relative size of the people that can afford those big expensive burgers. For example, Los Angeles, the home of that $16 burger, is also the home to 268,000 millionaires. 268,000 exceeds the population of the majority of cities in the United States that have food trucks. So they have 268,000 millionaires that can afford a $16 burger. Remember, playing follow the leader is risky at best. If you want to sell a burger, you want to sell a taco for less than your competition, that's certainly possible, and you still could end up being profitable. The issue, and I talked about this a little yesterday, the issue becomes the work to income ratio. One of the top 5 reasons people quit and they close up shop is they feel like the workload is far too high for the income generated. And I've heard that excuse a lot. Selling a product for less than the market price will generate initial sales because people are going to come try it. Hey, how's this burger sold for $4? It must be awesome. But in order to retain those guests beyond that initial trial, that takes the exact same effort as the dude that sells a $16 burger. And that effort is not in price comparison. That effort is in quality, service, cleanliness, and community. Those 4 things have to be stellar. Otherwise, people won't come back. And it doesn't matter what your price is. If they won't come back for the $4 burger because your quality, service, cleanliness, and community are horrible, you might as well price it at $100 because they're not coming back for either price. So understand your pricing, understand your cost, and then make your pricing profitable for whatever it costs you. And then it's up to you to throw off the hat of the accountant and put on the hat of the marketer, and let's get people into the business because that's how you're going to make money. And then once you got people into the business, you got to impress them beyond the price. The quality of your food must be perfect. The service must be fast. It must be friendly. The quality of your food, if it's hot, make sure that it's hot. If it's cold, make sure it's cold. Make sure that it is fresh. It is exactly how you would want it to be every single time you put it out. The service has to be fast. It has to be friendly. It has to be engaged and talking to people. The cleanliness has to be sparkling. You have to be better than any restaurant out there. Your community, and that's when you're talking to people on your Facebook or on your Instagram or on TikTok. When you're creating things that create a community, you want to be always expanding that community, getting people to share and like your stuff and to leave reviews and to always be talking about you. And then you have to be talking about them or talking to them. That's called creating a community. Those things are what justifies your pricing. Doesn't matter how much it costs you, and what matters is how much you can get out of it. Thank you guys so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. If you're finding all the information helpful to your food truck business, please become a monthly supporter of the podcast. Just hit the support button or follow the link in the description. Every little bit does help keep us going. If you like being around like-minded positive people, join our Facebook group. It's called Food Truck Training. We have a whole bunch of awesome members at all different levels, from brand new beginners to decades-old veterans. And they've all got your back when it comes to helping you and your food truck business. Again, thank you so much for listening. Come back tomorrow because you know I got plenty more to say when it comes to helping you and your food truck business.